Hello, everybody, and welcome to Taproom Strategies to connect with Gen Z. My name is Andrew Copeland with Secret Hopper, and after spending hundreds of hours connecting both virtually and in person with others just like you over the past year, I have to say that conversations on attracting new audiences and giving them reasons to return has been one of the most frequent topics we dive into. So today I'm joined by Evan with Brewed At, Megan with Eclipse Brewing, and Rob with Our Town Brewing. And we'll meet our guest in just a second. But first, at Secret Hopper, it's our goal to make you money. You're investing thousands in your beer, and it's never been more important to give the same attention to your tap room. So, why is this important? Engaged guests spend 40% more per visit. They're 2.2 times more likely to recommend or return to your brewery. And your competition, more importantly, isn't just other breweries. It's any business competing for your customers' time and money. So if you're interested in talking taproom or learning more about how we use mystery shopping to collect actionable data, let's simply hop on a call to talk strategy. I absolutely love talking taproom. But today, let's meet our guest and dive in. And Megan, because you are to the right of me, tell everybody a little bit about what you do in the beer world first.
Hello, everybody. I am actually brand new to the beer world. I just recently purchased Eclipse Brewing from Chris and Beth Mattern in August, and I'm still awaiting my brewer's license to be approved. This is in New Jersey. So yeah, that's what I got going on in the beer world.
Real quick, what made you want to buy a brewery?
So I already own food trucks. I own three of them, and I never wanted a restaurant. I like the whole gig working of the food trucks. But I always wanted a venue. And when Chris, I'm local, I live local. I was running on the bike path one night, and he was like, "Hey, Meg, we were just talking. He's like, I'm getting old. I think I want to retire." And I don't know, it just sparked. I was like, "Oh, this could be something I could get into." I've always been a bartender. I've always worked in the restaurant industry. So, it just kind of aligns with my track. And I didn't want to expand with another food truck. So I was like, this could be something new and exciting for me to get
That,
into.
that's awesome. So, Megan, normally it's the breweries buying a food truck, not the food trucks buying a brewery. So it's nice to see it the other way around.
Yeah, yeah, but it's interesting because there's kind of laws in New Jersey that make it hard for food truck owners to even have their food trucks at their brewery. So I have to treat them as like completely separate businesses. Which, I have my opinions on, but I have to comply with the state.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing all that. Now, Rob, you're up.
How's it going? My name is Rob Tarvis. I'm one of the owners at Our Town Brewery. We're in Lancaster. We've been open for a little over 5 years. And then we also, about 2 years ago, we opened a small tap room in the Francisville neighborhood in Philly. Um, so, yeah, I've been brewing professionally for about 15 years. So most of what I do here is make the beer and some community engagement stuff. So, yeah, I'm excited to be on with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Excited to learn from you as well, Rob. Now, Evan, I've seen you in person and virtually recently, but excited to see you again. Tell everybody who hasn't met you before a little bit about what you do.
Hi, everybody. My name is Evan Blum. I am the founder of Brewdat. I should say Gen Z founder. I think that's important. But we connect breweries to the new generation is the goal of our company as far as media marketing, social media, really getting in depth with how to get breweries into the landscape of what Gen Z is focusing on. We do that through, again, social media, events, and partnerships with different breweries.
I love the way you explained that today, Evan. But kind of back up for a sec. What is Gen Z? I'm going to lean on you, Evan, to tell us who is Gen Z.
Yeah, so Gen Z is anywhere from ages, I believe it's 15 through 27. They are graduating college, entering the workforce, a new demographic in the space, and they're kind of in the middle of developing their habits, their alcohol habits, but also all these different habits that are in the mix of working to take away from beer, as we know in some space right now. So that being sports gambling, THC beverages, alternatives, non-alcoholic. But Gen Z is really, I guess, the biggest thing I would say at this moment. They're new to the market. They're cash strapped, and they're going through a lot of changes at the time. So it's certainly something that I think breweries, and as we'll talk through it, need to kind of adapt to them more so than going through the regular traditional customer that you might have at this current moment.
It's all about attracting new audiences and getting them spending more. So, Rob, I mean, you've got 2 locations. Why does Gen Z matter to you?
I mean, we talk about it. I've talked to a lot of people about it, but like you always have to continue to find new audiences and find people to continue to backfill those bar stools as you literally people see them age out. I'm not saying they're like passing away, but there's just folks that are, I know more. I spend more of my time here in Lancaster, but we've had folks that were regulars in 2020 that, for health reasons or other reasons, don't drink at all anymore, or don't come in. And so finding ways to diversify your customer base is huge, and not just ignoring the entire generation. I mean, like I think a lot of the brewing space was really geared towards your 35 to 60-year-old kind of customer base, and that worked for a period of time. But as different, the next generation comes up and they're legal, they're really different. And so acknowledging that and finding ways to connect with them is key. Or they're just not gonna come through your door.
And Megan, how about you? Why does Gen Z matter to Eclipse?
So I'm actually right above Gen Z. I'm only 29 years old. I actually think I might be one of the youngest brewery owners in New Jersey. Also, one of the only female brewery owners at this point. And I think that gives me an interesting perspective on the industry. Well, number one, I was never a beer drinker. Like, I was always into wine or, mixed drinks. So I think it's super interesting that I'm bringing a whole different perspective to the brewery scene and what it can be. The previous owner, like I said, he was at retirement age. I think he's in his 70s. So I completely saw how his clientele definitely matched more of his age. And Merchantville, the town that my brewery is in, is an up and coming town. A lot of people are actually moving out of the city, Philly, with their, starting families and want that small town vibe. So I felt like in order for me to grow the business more than Chris and Beth even did, it's imperative for me to connect with Gen Z.
I mean, yeah, 100% there. So we're going to dive deep into a lot of strategies over the next hour, but I'd like to start with you all giving just one simple change everyone listening, those who run breweries and tap rooms, can make this month that will improve their connection with Gen Z. And at this point in time, anyone can jump in at any point. So who wants to tackle that one first? One quick strategy brewery owners can do to better connect with Gen Z.
I'll start.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Sorry, Evan. Definitely getting some non-alcoholic, not like store-bought stuff, like non-alcoholic brewed things on the menu.
Oh, I'm a big fan of that one. Evan, your turn.
Market research. Have a conversation with somebody from Gen Z. Try to understand their perspective. I think you hear a lot that is about what's happening with Gen Z, but talk to somebody from Gen Z.
I like that.
And Rob?
I was going to say it's a little less action driven, but simply acknowledge that they exist. I know there's some folks that are, I'm almost 40, I'm 38, and some folks, I see I quickly became one of the old guys in the industry. I don't know how that happened or when that happened, but I feel like I was the young cool one for a minute. But acknowledging that they exist and not throwing your hands up and just saying they don't drink, they just sit at home. They'd go out. They do, when the numbers are saying that they drink less or they go out less or they spend less, it's not zero. So you need to find ways to acknowledge them, and it's not easy. It's not easy across the board right now, but you need to make that attempt. And like Evan was saying, have conversations, whether it could be some staff, could be, a group that comes in and like, where, have you guys been in here before? Or where, just really take some time to grassroots that I think is helpful. And then the follow up from Megan, what were you talking about? You said not store-bought NA. When you said brewed things, do you mean like actually making your own NA beer, or what was your?
Yeah, like own NA beer or non-alcoholic seltzers, those type of things. Because I mean, you can always sell soda and stuff like that, but I feel like I don't want to leave them out from their experience at a brewery just by offering them a soda. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. No, yeah, as I say, we're not really set up to brew non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah, I heard it's hard. We're probably gonna lean more towards non-alcoholic seltzers.
Sure.
I was talking to Dawn at Full Circle Brew Garden out of Ohio the other day, and she talked about the importance of NA beverages as well. And she mentioned no matter what you have, serve it in some sort of glassware, because you could give someone a Coke, but give them that glass that actually makes them feel like they're part of that taproom experience. I think it helps kind of create that, more connection to your taproom versus I could be drinking a Coke or whatever it is anyway.
Yeah, well, Andrew, you just kind of tapped on another thing when you said experience. I think Gen Z is all about experiences, and there's more to be said than just us being a place to come consume alcohol. Like, we can create experiences for people, like by different events that you host, the trivia nights, the game nights, like pop-up events. Like, I think that is another avenue to attract Gen Z clients as well.
So, Evan, I want to back up for a sec. Talk to us a little bit about how does Gen Z spend? Like, and how do they drink? I mean, you're the market research guy. You've encouraged everybody else to do it. But, like, what habits are you seeing?
A lot of the things that we tend to notice at this point are Gen Z is showing up to locations based off the events that locations are having. And once you get somebody from Gen Z in the location, they'll spend money. It's very much are you going to draw them in? And then they'll be there. They're very intentional with how they're spending. So if there's an event going on that really piques their interest, that's what will bring them in. And something like we were running video game tournaments for a little while when we brought people in, and then they were putting up really large tabs for a time. And it's how do you get them into what their interest is, and keeping it fresh, keeping it new is something that we're playing around with and trying to figure out how to not just beat the same drum every time. Kind of like if you look at trivia, you see that it comes at diminishing returns at a point. So how do you pique that interest, but also keep it unique to your location? So that's one of the things that we notice.
And we actually have some secret hopper data that shows that Gen Z consistently spends per person pretty much the same as millennials in the older generation. That's from multiple years of taproom data. And an interesting fact that we have, they're actually tipping a bit higher than other generations. So,
oh, love that.
Gen Z spends money. So it's definitely an audience to consider. But one thing I learned, and this is from actually a LinkedIn post you put out, Evan, you're putting out a ton of really great content. For everyone watching, definitely recommend following what Evan's doing and everything at Brewdat. There's a lot of things we can learn from the data he's sharing. But Evan, one thing you shared recently is that Gen Z, this is mind-blowing to me, spends over a third of their year on their phone. Okay, now everybody drop how much time a day you spend on your phone in the chat or the comments. I want to hear from you. But, talk to us, Evan, and everybody else. I want to dive deep into this. If they're spending that much time on their phones, how in the world do we even make them aware of our businesses?
And that's where it really comes down to how are you implementing a social media strategy in my mind. So, yeah, they spend 1/3 of their calendar year on their cell phones. That speaks to a lot. I'm not saying it's a great thing, but how are you working with that statistic? And if you are not putting content out there to reach them as far as social media goes, that's where they're spending a majority of that time. So you're really, you hear the story a lot saying, we are like, why is Gen Z not coming here? Why is Gen Z is probably just not even aware of you. And that's because you're not going to the locations that they exist in. And that is one of the things that needs to be talked about more so, is how important social media is to their ecosystem, and working with different either content creators or just getting online and having Gen Z support you getting online is a crucial thing to really start getting your brand just viewed by somebody from the next generation.
No, Rob, with your locations, how are you getting in front of Gen Z to make them aware of our town?
It's interesting because our brewery in Lancaster, Gen Z, while like I said, it's all important to us. Every generation's important to us. We want butts and seats. Our crowd here, our clientele here is a little older. They're like more like the bottom end of the is like 30-35-year-olds. So like close, but a lot more like young parents or people starting families. Whereas our taproom in Philly is a much younger crowd. Evan's been there probably more times than he's been to the brewery, but like that's a younger crowd. A lot of like Temple grads that are moving there. So we have kind of a couple different strategies we try to take like between the two locations. But one of the things that we've noticed that we had very little success with is we have a very, very good social media photographer. She was a former wedding photographer. Content's amazing. And so for years we were, blending these like, really nice imagery, which is like kind of what like, maybe 35 and up would want to see in like some of the, print magazine, some of these like, Better Home and Garden type look, this just like, it's really, really nice staged imagery of whether it's a plate of food or with a beer or people. And we found that like, whether it's in Lancaster or the Philly taproom, that like more organic kind of content works better. I don't know, Evan, what you think about that, but like some of the more personal, like I don't want to say raw, but just like, hey, this is us doing what we're doing, just a little more like point of view or whatever it is. Like we've had like wild success with some of the either just like engagement on a post or then like people showing up to an event that we didn't do through a normal channel of like really beautiful imagery or a perfect post scene kind of thing. It was like, oh, here's just a little more organic, raw, like, post Saturn. It gets the opposite, right? Which blew my mind, but it's like, trying to, be aware of that.
Rob, is there an example that you can think of that falls into that category that's worked for you all?
The one post that comes to mind, I kept on trying to think of a different one, but this one just comes to mind so much. I literally dropped a raw egg on the floor of our brewery to announce that we were not doing brunch anymore. So it's kind of backwards, but like got insane engagement and people were like reached out and were just like lots of messages and like, hey, appreciate you guys being honest, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, you could, the social media site, you can see the back end of like male versus female and age demographics. And I was like, all right, younger folks were into the fact that we're not doing brunch, and we just kind of announced a more simple, like, hey, we're doing like a more simple burger and fry kind of thing. And just like pared it down. But I was like, to me, it felt like almost a failure post of like, hey, we tried, it's not working, whatever. But it actually was really well received. It was kind of interesting.
That's so interesting. So like Megan, like from your food truck to opening a brewery, like what are some of the approaches you're going to take to connect with Gen Z on social media?
So, it's so much work being a business owner, right? So the last thing you want to do is edit TikToks. But what I have noticed is when you either make your Instagram videos in the format of what's popular on TikTok, you get more views. Like I had this one video and it was like it was me taking a customer's order in the window and then from their point of view, and then it was me and from the like inside of the food truck point of view, and I was like hanging out the window because it's such a big like window and my feet were off the ground. That video got so much buzz and it wasn't even about food. It was just like a humorous post about my business. Like I feel like what Rob was saying, like they want more raw material. They want more like your personality shining through in your business, So I feel like right now my strategy with the brewery was we completely rebranded the image of the brewery, like new logo, same name, but new logo, new inside tasting room, opened up the second floor, made it more picturesque, like very, very vibey. And I feel like that's a good word to describe what Gen Z wants to hang out in. I'm already actually, I'm not open. Like I said, we're not allowed to brew, but we are allowed to host private events. And I've already had a ton of private events that people had booked for holiday parties just because the space itself looks so inviting. And so I want to post this on my Instagram. You know what I mean?
That's so interesting. So Megan, I'm curious, like what platforms, like you mentioned TikTok, what platforms are you dedicating time to try to connect with Gen Z on?
Instagram and TikTok. I feel like Facebook is more of an older generation. I do love my Facebook clients though, because they're the ones that usually spend money. But I think it's interesting because the food truck world, the food world, and the beer world is different. And what I found really interesting was Chris and Beth built such a strong following on for an older couple on social media. Like their Instagram and their Facebook just had so many loyal followers. Like as soon as I took over, all my posts were on Facebook were getting like over 300 likes. And it was crazy because I feel like, well, I had to restart my Reds Rolling restaurant one got hacked, so like I had to restart a while ago. But like just to see the support on social media for the brewery of two 70-year-old owners was just insane, and it was super encouraging. And once I took over the social media page and like walked people through my rebranding, there was a lot of hesitation when I took over. I feel like a lot of the regulars and a lot of the older crowd was like, oh no, what's she about to do? But like I feel like me walking them through what I was doing, like I post the videos of me and my dad painting the walls, putting the brick accent wall up. Like the brewer, they had, they can't brew, so they were just helping me build tables and do miscellaneous stuff, and helping the client seeing that, the customers seeing us putting our hard work into it. They like, I had DMs like, oh my God, like thank you for sharing this journey with us. Like they love the genuine energy that people put out into the world. And luckily that's who I am, so it's nice and easy. But it gets sticky when I want to go and make TikToks and stuff, because now I feel like I'm trying too hard. But I also feel like it's a way to relate to the Gen Zers as well. So I don't know, I just feel like the more genuine you are on social media and the more like you show. But I also like feel like there's also people that are like trying to get you caught up with things too that you don't think would be an issue, which is kind of annoying. So you do also have to watch what you post. But I do think being genuine and posting like everyday stuff is definitely where it's at.
No, thank you. That's really insightful, Megan. So, Evan, from your point of view, and after listening to Megan and Rob, some of the words I've heard: point of view, personality, genuine, very vibey. Like, what does Gen Z want from these social posts that's actually going to get them to stop scrolling and pay attention?
Yeah, so I think the best way to kind of break it down is, number one, for a brand, it's a content mix. So, and just for like the audience, I want to just kind of break down like what some of posts even are like, because there's a few different types of posts that's not performed by Instagram, but like these are the types of posts that you put out, and these are the different types of posts that what Gen Z is looking for and what is not. So like you have educational posts, which is pretty much exactly what Megan was describing, as far as like really showing the behind the scenes of your journey, your brand, and getting that insight of like what is going on in a pure way through video reels, and it's a deep engagement. Then you have then entertainment posts, which is the like try to do some funny videos, some trendy videos, really relating to like something that could be going on in the time, or trying to piggyback on some trends. But this is where like you get the virality and the large reach portion potentially. Those are the two things that really, really connect. The thing that doesn't connect is direct messages of promotional content, of you just trying to sell your product. They're following you. They want to know, you have to, people have to understand a little bit as far as like, number one, it should never just be promotional content. You have to see you're adding value to a consumer on social media. So if you're just pushing sales, it almost comes off as spammy in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And why is somebody going to watch that when they rather get added value if you're learning about the journey or you're seeing something funny that really connects you better to a brand. So those are the two big ones. And I do want to also just say the one thing right now that really, this is like my pet peeve of the moment. Generative AI on social media posts, can art, that is a really, really touchy subject for Gen Z because of just the uncertainty in the world and jobs potentially being taken away from Gen Z with such technology. It's almost like once you put that out there, you're really, really isolating this audience because they, as a young person, they might be losing jobs to this sort of tech.
Can you
And
explain for people that might not know what you're
yeah.
talking about, exactly what you're talking about?
Yeah, good call, Megan. So generative AI is anything like when ChatGPT, if you were to just put in a note saying like, write me an email to this person, this person, this person, that is generative, meaning that it will create everything for you versus I forget the actual term for the other portion of it, but it's more manipulated in the sense of like you will type up your email and then you'll throw it through AI and have it clean up what you're doing. And the same thing goes for photos and art. Like you can clean up using like what you might want and have these ideas. But if you're just like, give me koala bear for like drinking a beer, it's a very, very touchy subject from a lens of a Gen Z person. Like, you're cool, they're not paying artists. Cool, this stuff's going to be taking away my jobs, and you're just putting this out there, and it really sucks. And it's totally understandable from a business perspective too, because we're all small businesses. Like, money is not a available resource to everybody. But you really need to be careful with how you're speaking. And that is a very quick way to just kind of isolate a group of people.
Yeah, and the the eye, it's really interesting. Like, go back and watch a movie from the 90s or like even the early 2000s. And like your eye is so trained. I don't think my parents who are in their early 70s or even, I think I'm getting better at it, but like the more you see it, it's just so immediately obvious. I feel like people were maybe thought they were getting away with it for a little bit. Of like, dude, look at this crazy brightly colored can. It's going to stand on the shelf, and it's like maybe there was like a minute that people like, and we've never gone down that path. Just we try to support our local artists here, but it's so bad when you see it. Like, it's just so obvious now. It's like watching a special effects from an 80s or 90s film. You're like, oh my God.
I
spent off the shelf for the wrong reasons.
I spend probably as much time on the internet as our friends in Gen Z, and I, see all the forms of AI, and I agree with you on the AI art, and you don't feel the connection to it. But I would also say the AI descriptions and text that you see in posts too, and it just feels AI. I don't feel it conveys that authenticity
but
that people want to connect
not
with.
gonna lie, when I'm busy and I have to post a weekly schedule for the food truck, I definitely do use AI.
Yeah, but that's not consumer facing. Like that's internal for your business, or maybe not. Like maybe not that. I as far as like a schedule goes, but like simple tasks like that, rather than like a progressive message.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I think there's good and bad about it, but I think to speak to another thing that is important to Gen Z, it's what you're giving back to the community, what you're giving back to the world. And, we haven't been able to been open, we haven't been able to brew, but recently I started a food pantry at my brewery. And when I tell you, like, it took off, like, it's to this day, it's still, I think I started it back in the beginning of November, and it's still, people are bringing things. I put a fridge out there for people to put refrigerated items. It's right under our tent that's outside on the patio. Because I need to stay relevant, right? I can't even sell beer to anybody right now, but I want to stay relevant in the eyes. I want to keep a good rapport with the community. And I also want to help out my community. So, that was a good marketing tool, but it was also something that I truly, felt in my heart that I wanted to do for the community. But they go hand in hand, and Gen Z relates to that. I think it's important for breweries to maybe host a monthly or a yearly thing that shows that they actually give a fuck, excuse my French, about things that are outside their brewery. Because, we're all humans, and I feel like Gen Z really, really hones in on that. Like, this is a collective experience and we should all be supporting each other in some type of way. So I feel like they'd be more willing to spend their money on a company that is willing to give back to others.
No, absolutely, Megan. That's great. So we've talked about how to get Gen Z's attention primarily on social media because that's where they're spending a lot of time. But let's say we've got them in the tap room right now. Rob, I want to start with you on this one. How do we talk to Gen Z? How do we educate Gen Z? Some people in this generation may have never been to a brewery before. So at our town, what do you typically train your staff to do when engaging with a younger customer?
We always try to more so lately. Again, like this is, I feel like it's a moving target, but more so lately. In general, specifically with beer, I think that there was a period of time, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, where there was like, the beer snob or the beer nerd or the beer, whatever it was. But like it was like there's this kind of gatekeeping a bit of like, oh, well, you don't know that, or you never had that beer, or you don't know that hop, or you don't know. Like my experience with the younger generation is that some of those, like some of the minutia there, like they don't really care about it. Like they don't care that you used, Simcoe hops from the early harvest of it, like get out of your brewer brain and like, try to find the things that connect. So,
that's so true.
Yeah. Like, it's so hard for me as a brewer. Cause like all I ever want to do is just talk about like pH and the origin of the malt we got and it's just like, no, they don't care at all. Like it's just, and I'm not saying that some of them don't care. They're like, I've met some 22-year-olds that are home brewing and are excited about all the details, but like finding the other ways of, oh, maybe it's served a different way. Or like we had we serve a lavender lemonade on draft at it's now alcoholic lavender lemonade on draft. It has like a little bit of carbonation. And we were doing that as is, but then like over this summer, we had a pride beer that we do. That's like a really heavily fruited, like raspberry blonde beer. And we were just like throwing like, I don't know, 2 ounces on top of it. And it was just kind of bleeding down in. It didn't really change the flavor all that much, but like, I had this whole experience that had nothing to do with like the ingredients, the process of me brewing it or anything, but like our younger staff at the tap room just had fun with it and was like, what do you guys think about this? And now like everyone at the bar has one. It became like the top selling thing of the whole summer.
Wow.
We started selling it in Lancaster then. And it was just like, just because we're having a little fun with it, keeping it light, keeping it loose, and kind of like trying to drive something that was, more than like, okay, here's your drink, and that's 8% ABV, and that's going to be this many dollars, and you're starting a tab or not. It was a little more like just light and fun, and I guess experience driven. Kind of that, even if it's not like a whole big event, like it was just this mini tweak that was like off menu and was kind of fun and personal.
Yeah, I think that's such a good idea. Like that's what I was trying to talk to my staff about. I was like, listen, we need to get other people in here that don't just drink regular beers. Like we need to make it creative. Like, and it's funny that you say that people don't care about what's in the beer. Like you said, there definitely is. You do have your beer snobs. The old owner invited me to come to a home brewing meeting. Like they go to different breweries in New Jersey, and it's just a bunch of home brewers that meet and like let each other share the beer. But when I tell you, like for me, one, I'm not a brewer. I just have to learn how to brew. So I don't brew. I don't really drink beer like that. So for me, that whole experience was like not fun. Like I did not know what they were talking about. Like I was trying to hear them out, but for me, it wasn't fun. So I'm purely right now here to make it an experience for people. And then as I learn, the brewing processes and all the different hops and malts and all that stuff, then I can beef up my education on that. But I think it's so interesting to own a business that you don't know much about, because you're kind of not stuck in like this, oh, I need to explain what's in every ingredient. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm saying what I mean, right? But like,
no, I think it's really valuable. Like I spent 10 years working at other people's breweries to learn how to mitigate risk and do everything I could to try to be successful to open our town.
It got you to lavender lemonade though, Rob, is where it got you.
And it's right, but it's just like, wow, when I think about like I probably like, I don't know, 2 years into working at those other breweries, like knew enough about brewing to make good enough beer to appease a customer base.
Mm.
I don't actually believe that. Like the brewer in me doesn't believe that, but like from a business side, like there's places I see that are just busting at the seams with customers that like the brewer in me is like, yeah, the beer's okay, but it's like they have the rest of it figured out. You know what I mean? They're
Mm-hmm.
meeting every Monday morning to figure out like what are the next 7 social media posts, who's doing them. All right, cool. I'm gonna come to you guys Tuesday afternoon and do this and that, and we're gonna edit it up and and they're like, okay, we have the glassware figured out. We have this event that's going to target this group of people, and then we have an event that's going to be for our older folks. We don't want to ignore them either.
Yeah.
Kind of, hit them all. And so it's just like, wow. I'm over here, like, just trying to figure out, like, should I do 1 more pound of Citra or another pound of Citra? Like, you got to like pull yourself out of that. So I think, Megan, you have a really like unique and probably like really positive angle coming in that, because it's like I assume you're gonna hire a brewer, but it's like you're gonna have good beer. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I actually kept
in,
the staff from the old brewery. So
oh, rad. Yeah. So it's like they're gonna make great beer still. And so like, the 60 and 70-year-old customers that liked their beer, it's the same beer. We still have it. We're just gonna have some extra people in here, and we're gonna be doing some different stuff, and we're gonna make it a
exactly.
little
And
more
that
dynamic.
was like my selling point. I was like, look, nothing's changing. You're seeing the same faces, you're drinking the same stuff. We're gonna, expand the menu with the seltzer situation and whatnot. But I'm not trying to scare you guys. I'm just trying to improve it and keep it going in the long run.
So Megan, talking about like the improvements that you're making and you're creating a vibe. That's obvious. You're gonna have a really cool spot there at Eclipse with the changes that you're making. Talk to us about some of the things you're doing with regard to like changing the atmosphere to make it more friendly to different generations.
Yeah, so before, the vibe was Chris wanted to be like, you're drinking a home brewed beer in his living room. And he achieved that look. Like, he achieved that hominess, he achieved that feel, and it worked, for his clientele. For I think 7 years they were in business. But for me, like, I always want to go above and beyond. Like, that's just who I am as a person. And it's a small space we're working with. It literally looks like a house when you walk up to it, like a 2-story regular home. So there's only so much you can do with the space. The tap room was probably like 20 seats inside, like tiny, but they
Oh,
have a
wow.
huge outdoor section. But like, New Jersey weather, it depends. So you're really, in the winter, you're really tapped out at that 20 seat max, which for me wasn't cutting it. So there was a whole second level that they actually were just using for storage that had 2 bedrooms. If you're thinking of it like a house, it was like a living room, a bathroom, and 2 bedrooms. Um, I completely renovated the top part. I put in probably another 40 seats upstairs. Um, and my office space in one of the bedrooms, and then I even put in a game room in the other bedroom, which has foosball, a Pac-Man machine, and like just your typical board games and stuff. And then the neon lights with Eclipse Brewing on there, and I just bright blue walls, nice brown floors, like good color tones. I wanted it to be something where people wanted to stay and hang out and even book their events. Like, for me, I think events are where the money is at. Like, you want to get the most amount of people at your brewery at all times. And how do you do that? Events, 30 people, 20 people. Oh, I'm having a party for my 50th birthday, or you know what I mean? Those are the type of events where you're going to get butts in your seat, exposure for people that might not even have known about your brewery, but they're here for their friend's birthday party or their, friend's baby shower. Like, the fact that I'm already booking up that upstairs space without brewing is just amazing to me, because now people know me without even having my product yet. But they know the vibe. They caught, the energy from walking in before they're even sipping any alcohol from us. And they'll come back because of how nice the space is for them. I have beautiful, fresh, like real plants all over. Um, and like I said, I expanded the seating. So upstairs was definitely imperative for me to add to make the money we need to make. Like, I'm already seasonal with the food trucks. I didn't want to be seasonal inside at the brewery either, you know? And then with the outside space I have, I know people love fire pits. So I purchased 6 fire pits, propane. and I put them all around. I got all this furniture from Facebook Marketplace and like outdoor furniture and put it all around the fire pits. I got string lights. I have one of those, what is it called? Cornhole things. And that's just the front yard area. And then my dad, he's a contractor. He put in a stamped concrete patio where their old asphalt was, which was like full of holes and roots and tripping hazards. I don't know how people did not get drunk and die on those roots, to be honest. But we completely replaced the patio and we put a beautiful tent over it. And then we have a jockey box with 4 taps outside. Because the tasting room's so small, I wanted to be able to give people an opportunity to just, get more alcohol outside as well. So we're in such a unique town with Merchantville. We're the only source of alcohol besides the Blue Monkey. Everywhere else is BYOB, and it's like everything's walkable too. And our location is very unique too because of our outdoor and indoor space. Like there's no beer garden like ours in, I would say, South Jersey. Like we have a cute little garden. We're right by a bike path in the middle of town. And then you can go upstairs, you can go to the game room, you can go in the main bar. We have music. Like there's just so much that we're offering customers before they even drink a beer.
No, I love the vibe that you're creating there. You talk about private events. Rob, you've hinted at events. Evan, I'd like to go to you first on this one. You talk to a lot of people in this space. What types of events or initiatives are you seeing resonate with Gen Z?
Right now, I would say anything that is, I guess, ran by somebody like that is Gen Z. And to give Rob like a shout out, like one of my favorite environments is our town tap room because all their bartenders are like younger, probably in Gen Z or right around there, and they're curating a lot of the stuff. And they're really good at connecting with the audience and just being able to have that autonomy of letting people of such age like curate things that they know people that are around them are looking for is extremely like important. And I think that's been something that resonates, and it can change in every neighborhood. So, but just understanding that, allowing somebody from a younger perspective to have that lead to really like dive in and like curate some stuff like that supports what people and their friends would be looking for,
So I've got 2 follow-ups there, and Rob, will go to you first before Evan. I give you a hard time in a second. But Rob, the first question for you is like, how are you empowering your team, and how are they helping you with the events and such?
When we first opened, you have like a vision of kind of what you want this thing to look like and feel like, and as we were like, the early weeks and month or 2 we were open, just realizing that like you need to spend a lot of time like in the space to feel out like who's walking in and out of the door. And like we're in Lancaster, and our manager Ian was there a ton, especially in the early goings, and like the staff that was spending this time there, like they're having all those conversations. It's a simpler, it's like a 40-seat tap room. It's a smaller, simpler operation there, and I just had to be honest with ourselves that like the best thing that we can do is like I think there was a couple of things early on. I wish I could remember these specific examples, whether it was like a glassware choice or a cocktail I wanted to try or something like that. And it was like, if I instead of micromanaging this thing, letting the folks do, when I was in my 20s and working at breweries, like no one ever listened to anything I had to say, for the most part. It just wasn't, it wasn't, and it was all, and I didn't offer much because it just like, that was a different time where like, you just kind of like, yes, sir, no, sir, like, I don't know. It wasn't that long ago, but it was long ago enough to be like, it was a pretty different world pre-COVID. And so like allowing the staff to have fun, I just felt like would be the best way to keep good folks around and have them connect with, the neighborhood. And I think it's really paid off in the sense that like, when I go in the space now, like we haven't even quite been open 2 years yet, but like it's quirky and it's funky and like it's more lived in now. And all those little micro decisions like I didn't sign off on like 95% of them. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, can we get approval to hang this up, or can we get, to put these here? It's like, have at it, man. And it was really organic, and it's not what I thought it would be. It's better. And because that neighborhood is young, and it's not one that I right off the bat have as much in common with. And so it's been nice just at first it was pretty uncomfortable. You're 90 minutes away and you're kind of letting staff do what they want to do, but then you're like, this is for the best as far as connecting with the younger folks.
So what's something they did, Rob, that you probably wouldn't have done yourself, but they just knocked out the park?
I'm kind of funny about consistency. So I really like, if it's like, oh, like when this beer goes in this glass, or that kind of a thing, just simple stuff. But they had just some really funky glassware that it looks like dime pitch stuff from a yard sale or thrift store. It's kind of like German steins and little mugs and weird shit, and it's and if you go in now, there's a handful of them that are in the under the reach-in fridge underneath the bar, and they're just for different regulars to come in. Oh, that's their mug. We don't have a mug club there. We don't have it, but they just took it upon themselves to institute these little things that are just quirky and fun. Oh, he comes in and it's cold. It's refrigerated mug is chilling here. That's a small thing. But then one of the bigger things that Ian, our manager, came up with was we do milk pours, and Human Robot does the milk tubes. Definitely made it really famous from their side. And Ian was like, I kind of have a different idea. And so he got these glass cartons. They look like mini, middle school lunch tray, milk cartons. And we do milk cartons out of those. And they're
what's a milk carton?
What is an actual milk carton?
No, what are you talking about? What are you serving?
It's beer. So we have two Czech Lucre faucets. So they're like a big ball valve. So when you open them, you can open them the whole way and it'll pour like a normal beer. But as you just barely crack the valve open, it creates really, really thick wet foam. And so you chug them and they're kind of fun. And it's it's a little 10-ounce, just frothy. I don't know. They're just fun. And
that's cool.
Yeah, and so I
love the way you just explained that, by the way, because I think that encounter really just represents what we're trying to do right now.
Yeah,
true.
Even though you're not quite Gen Z, Megan.
2 years. 2 years.
1 year out, 2 years. I would say I was she's on the edge.
Well, I think Rob, that you have it figured out, as not calling you older, but you are the oldest one here. I mean, as I think you have it figured out in regards to not letting your ego, not letting your business owner ego get the best of you, and actually staying open-minded to others and their opinions and stuff. Sometimes that's the hardest thing to do as a business owner, is let a little bit of control go to better your business and to grow your business. A lot of people can't do that, and I feel that's where they fail.
Yeah, and you have to sift through stuff. That's the tough thing. I know when I was an employee at places, I had ideas that were probably terrible, but just sifting through. Definitely found when you run a business, everyone tells you what to do to make it better. I'm sure you know that, Megan, with your food trucks. But you're what you should do?
Yeah, I'm you should probably buy your own food truck.
Yeah, get your own damn food truck. But yeah, and don't you worry, it's coming with your 7-year-old customers now that you took over the brewery. You have to sift through it for sure, and have some edges and boundaries and kind of sides to the box, if you will. But the team we've had down in the Philly Taproom, they're just really down to earth. They're really cool. They look out for us, and they have made the space what it is, and I've had almost nothing to do with it other than dropping off beer every 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, shout out to your team, Rob. That's amazing.
Yeah, they're just a cool group of guys and gals that we've had over the couple of years. So
Evan, something you mentioned a couple of minutes ago I want to come back to. You talked about how having younger staff gives insight into engaging with Gen Z, and that obviously makes sense. But not all breweries have that younger staff. So what are some suggestions that you have when you might not have the Gen Zers around to ask, hey, what should we do? What should we do?
Yeah, and Totally. Yeah, not everybody has access to exactly Gen Z employees, but I would imagine you are at least 1 to 2 degrees of a connection away from a Gen Z person. And that person living in your area or seemingly close to you would have some probably like at least some good ideas. Or again, it gets back to the perspective of like talking to somebody from Gen Z, trying to understand their mindset, and everything's geographically based, so everybody's going to be a little different in each location. But knowing that in itself is certainly something that will just help your strategy in business. So being able to just tap into that such resource, if you have friends that have kids that are such age, it might be a little awkward, but like see if you can have a conversation, and just like kind of talk to somebody. Or Gen Z is not going to talk to you. Like it would be something that you will have a conversation and really learn something. And being open-minded to even taking that approach and to try to learn something and try to, I think Megan said it, but like treat them like they're anybody else. Just treat them like they're adults, and like make that sort of headway and be like, what would you be looking for if you're going to come into a place? If you're going to come into my brewery, like what's something you would be looking for? And I think just that genuine, like honest approach is simple enough, and it's not as hard as to reach somebody.
So Evan, we get them in, we're doing our best to connect with them. What are the reasons you see Gen Z want to come back to the same spot versus just go to the next place that they see while scrolling?
Yeah, and a lot of it comes down to brand and authenticity too. Like what sort of cool things do you guys offer that like really like sticks with you? One of the things that, and I'm shouting out our town again, is the bartenders there have a secret menu. And I think Rob knows about the secret menus.
I'm aware of the secret menu.
What'd you say?
I said I am aware of that. Yeah,
you're aware of the secret menu, but it's like the bartenders are just like, here, we're gonna try this mix of one of our pours with Coke. Like it's a Rattler. Like this is super fun. Try this. It was like, yeah, that's something like super memorable, very personal. It made a really fun experience, and I now remember that all the time. And I frequently look for places that are like doing something unique like that, or trying some stuff that's like that really piques my interest. And I think that's a fun concept that I think a lot of places should be like playing around with. But I think that's what makes flights so exciting too. Like variety, experience, exploration at a very like base level, not getting over in depth with all the different hops you're using, all the different ingredients, but it's here, look at this beer, and then this is really fun. Like, let's have some fun with this.
I mean, Evan, you know I love flights. Flights are a great way for that first-time guest to find what's right for them. You get someone who's never been to a taproom before, you give them a pour that they think they might like, and they hate it. Do you think they're going to order another? No, but if you can help them find what's right for them, it's another reason they can be connected to your business. And the data does show, as I've shared before, when you encourage a guest to start with a flight, they're going to spend 25% more, not 25 cents more. That's not a whole lot. 25% more. It's because you took the time to help them find what's right for them, and they ordered that second pint. And they're going to be more likely to tell their friends. You know, data-wise, when you go to a business for the first time, and this applies to Gen Z too, if you go and you get a low level of engagement, as in the bartender's not trying to connect with the person on the other side of the bar, that guest is 45% likely to recommend and return that business. Literally, they're not going to recommend or return to that business unless Megan's dragging me back. But if they have a positive experience that's engaging, that's informing them, that's creating those authentic connections you three are talking about, that guest is 99% likely to recommend and return to that business. And I think we need to have more of those experiences for Gen Z. So I'd love to just go around the table really quickly. And Megan, we'll start with you. What's something that you believe we can do to wow Gen Z?
I really, especially because this is exactly what I did, is create a tasting room that they want to come and like actually stay in. Like I really do feel like decorations and, you know, the like the game room or the cornhole or the fire pits, I think creating experience for them to just come and be at is so important. Like, you know how many times I've walked into a bar and I'm like, ew, like I don't want to sit here, like I don't want to stay here. You know what I mean? Like you need to create the space for Gen Z to want to come to and hang out in. And I feel
What's
like
something
people
you
underestimate
personally love?
that.
I mean, what's something you personally love it in a space? I mean, we talked about fire pits, we've talked about just the string lighting, but is there a certain aesthetic feature you think resonates with people like yourself and Gen Z?
I was gonna just say aesthetics in general. Like I for me, like I did a brick accent wall with neon lighting, and then I did literally like bronze ceiling tiles that I got from Amazon. But it just made that small tiny tap room like pop. And I did a marble bar top. So it gives it a little bit more of an upscale, not industrial, not like your typical industrial brewery feel. Mine is definitely something very different to the brewery world. um, I feel like you see stuff like that in other states maybe, but my tasting room is definitely not your typical average brewery. Like I kind of took the two-bedroom house feel and I made it like more modern and more homey, but like modern homey, not like I don't
So
know.
Megan, like a follow-up for you though. I mean, you're doing so much to lead into the younger audience, but how do you make the loyal customers who've been going to Eclipse for, I think you said maybe 7 years, like how do
Mhm.
they still feel comfortable when the space is changing?
So it's interesting you say that. I had like an open house kind of event on Halloween, and a lot of the regulars came, and we weren't selling anything but hot chocolate and merch. And when I tell you the building was packed, guys, like it was insane. Like you would have thought we were open selling alcohol. So all the regulars got that experience of like what we did with the place then, and all of them were so excited. Like there was not a single person. Like they had the reservations. Like I gotta tell you, like we had our reservations at first, but we really like what you did with the place because I mean, at the end of the day, like it did need a lot of upgrades. Like it was a time. You know what I mean? Like it served its purpose, but it needed a new look. And I just made it aesthetically pleasing. Like the brick accent wall. I don't know if you can see in my profile picture a little bit. But that's like the main look when you walk into the bar.
I love a brick
Um,
accent wall.
yeah, it's a shout out to my dad. That was his idea. We kept the same chalkboards that they always wrote their beer lists on. So it's really basically the same space. I didn't take any walls down. All I did was paint, flooring, accent wall, new ceiling tiles, like new TVs, and then opened up the upstairs. The upstairs is what really has people like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even know there was an upstairs. You know what I mean? Because it's a whole different vibe up there. I have like a leather couch. I have like like bar top tables. I have a built-in bench in the wall that goes all the way across the back wall. So we have increased seating, but I just wanted to make a space that people wanted to gather, to host their events, to just be there for prolonged periods of time because in New Jersey, like we don't have food like you guys do. So like we need other reasons unless we do bring in someone else's food truck. I can't personally have my own there technically. Um, but I needed other reasons to make people want to stay, than just food and beer.
Yeah, no,
Well,
that was
man,
exactly what I was gonna say. Is like diversifying your offerings. We do have food in Lancaster. We do not in Philly. In Philly, we have a PlayStation in the corner. Like we just it's like
See, I love
we have
that.
different things going on. Like they're really two different vibes. But I feel like diversifying your offerings, and then like when you throw a dart at the wall, like see who shows up to those events. Like we just did a holiday market that mainly was put on by our neighbors, but it was across the way, and we had fire pits and holiday vendors and all this stuff, and I was blown away at how many young people were there, and I was like, where the hell did you find out about this? You know what I mean? I was kind of looking around like,
Yeah. Which
uh,
location was that in?
it was in Lancaster. It was actually just in our parking lot, but it was very hallmarky looking. Like it was just definitely
Uh-huh.
like hot chocolate and like little craft vendors and like a mini bookstore, and like it was cute, but it was like, okay, like they liked this. I wasn't expecting that. People,
Yeah.
everyone's like,
Well, speaking of the market, Merchantville has like a market off center, which is like the first Friday of every month, and it's directly behind our building on the bike path. So like everybody usually comes to us for beer. But I was like trying to do a play on that. So on everything, I don't know what day I'm going to do it yet, but every once a week, I'm going to reach out to any of those local vendors or really anybody who wants to sell anything and have like a vendor pop-up night once a week at the brewery to, you know, encourage other small businesses to sell their stuff and get their clientele into our brewery, but also be like, hey, like we're actually going to be at this market on the bike path when the summer season starts. And, you know, it's all a big collective. I wanted to make the space more than just a brewery. It's a meeting spot. It's a spot to network. It's a spot to have your baby shower. It's a spot to, you know, play trivia or watch the game. Like it needs to be more than just a bar.
totally agree. Yeah.
No, absolutely. You know, it's been so fun learning from you all, hearing the unique little touches that you're doing, because this audience is so important. So I want to kind of wind down. And Evan, we kind of did your introduction last, so I want to come to you first on this one. And I really just started with saying what's one thing that breweries should be doing right now, but I want to add another. You know, after hearing us talk for the past hour, it's tough to make changes work. Right now, we're recording this in December 2026, and a lot of breweries are slow. So now might be the right time to focus on what you can do to attract different audiences. So from your perspective, highly from the marketing side, highly from the experiential side, what's something you think brewery owners should do right now after hearing us talk?
Yeah, I have one that pops to mind immediately. Social media collaborations, working with content creators. And when I say that, I don't mean just like your neighborhood foodie that is popping in. That's great too. But there's so many, the internet at this point and social media have so many opportunities to reach new audiences, and you can collaborate with these different groups and really just get in front of these new audiences. Everybody understands like algorithms are in control of social media, but I don't think people put enough thought into what that means algorithmically, as far as a brewery owner, I'm going to assume most of your algorithm is about beer. But if you're a Gen Z person, I'm going to assume most of your algorithm has nothing to do with beer. So being able to tap into the content creators that are in the culture, whether that's live music, whether that's sports, anything that you would probably do in real life, but they do constant content on such subjects, and most of them are willing to just like kind of work with the breweries. Like you just have to ask, and you just have to kind of talk to people, and anywhere from audiences of 50,000 to 100,000+, just as far as reach goes, and a collaboration, get your brand in the actual line of sight that this Gen Z person's algorithm would be, or beer comes into that for the first time. Maybe not traditionally that would happen, but because you're making these awareness and partnerships, that could happen.
And Evan, you're a great teacher. And if anyone's interested in learning from you about that, how can they contact you and Brewdat?
You can message us at just info@brewdat.com, or follow our social medias at Brewdat. Much more consumer facing as far as anything goes, or our podcast is much more for brewery owners and beer people. It's the Brewdat podcast. Follow us there. We have really good conversations with everybody on their unique like locations and strategies and stuff.
Awesome. Well, thanks for helping organize this one today. I hope to see you in person before too long.
Yeah.
Well, now, Rob, I'm going to give you a different question.
I have one all teed up.
Well, you can share that answer too. Talked about lavender lemonade. What are some other products that you see at your tap rooms really resonate with that younger audience? And then tell me whatever else you want to tell me.
Yeah, sure. No, I was going to say for the previous question, I was going to say Evan's a really good resource, and Evan's an open book, and he's really kind and has been really just like a nice outlet for us. So like, he's had lots of different ideas in the last few years. And my general rule of thumb is like, as long as it's not like counter to your brand or like outside of something that maybe like you don't believe in or isn't at your, like, just try shit. Like Evan came to me with some ideas that like, I was like, I don't know what he's got going on with this one, but it sounds fun. It sounds exciting. And like, sure, we're in, dude. So like be willing and be open to like just, respond to the emails when people are reaching out to you. Like you said, all the collaborators, like, when people are reaching out, it's not always salesy. Just like connect with people and find things to do that are outside of just beer collaborations. Those are awesome. I love brewing with other guys. I had a guy here yesterday, good friend, finally got together. But collaborate with other industries and other folks, and just don't say no to so many things. Just try to be open. As far as products go, I came up in the brewing space where like we were definitely, when I was like, turned 21 and stuff, it was like this fight against yellow fizzy beer. Like it's what you didn't want to make. We've had a ton of success with our light lager. It's our number one selling beer in Philly. It's like our number 2 or 3 in Lancaster at all times. We designed it to check a box for people from a flavor side. It's also like really inexpensive for us to make. So we sell it for $4 a pint all day, every day in Philly. $5 a pint in Lancaster, and it's $4 during our happy hour. And so it's just like, and we're okay at that price because like we designed the recipe to be okay at that price. Just to try to offer something to someone where like they're not getting sticker shock coming in. Maybe they only go out and drink like once or twice a month. They don't really want to spend $8 or $9 on a beer, especially if they just want to be in the room and they don't really give a shit about the beer. So giving them something that was like accessible and wasn't overwhelming from a cost side, a flavor side. Visually, it's filtered and crystal clear, just like they're used to seeing, at a tailgate or front, whatever. And there's a lot less frills. And it's a pretty good trend across the brewing space. Trogs just put out Pennsylvania Lager. There's just like some really nice examples of people having success with like remembering that beer is truly like supposed to be like the everyman beverage. It's like try to take it off the pedestal a little bit. And just let it give access to more folks.
Awesome. I love that, Rob. Now, Megan, we're going to end with you. Going from food truck owner to brewery owner, you'll be opening soon. I'm just curious, like, what are you most excited about?
Seeing people in the space and like enjoying it the way I've envisioned they would. Making my systems. Like I have systems for the food truck. I'm obsessed with like lists and notes and things like that. Like I just love a well-oiled machine. So I'm excited to figure out exactly how I want to run this brewery. And like Rob was saying, like networking with the different industries. Like I've had so many people reach out to me about performing at the brewery or doing this at the brewery. And I can't even say yes to any of them yet or plan anything because I don't have my license. So that's been a frustrating part for sure, but it just makes me even more excited for when we do get it because I know there's so many people that are just excited as we are to open. And yeah, I just feel like we're going to create just a space that's not like anything else in South Jersey. And I'm excited for that.
Well, I can't wait to visit. And for Megan, for everyone also excited to follow your journey, where can they do so?
They can follow us on our Instagram, which is Eclipse Brewing. And then our Facebook page as well. I don't have a TikTok for it yet, but maybe I'll have one of my employees.
Oh, you gotta have one now that you hyped it up earlier.
I know.
Go.
I have a personal one, but it's a lot of work, guys. I'm gonna have to hire like a high school kid to do an internship for me.
Oh my gosh. So Rob, how about you? How can we follow Our Town?
At Our Town Brewery on Instagram, Facebook, and the Philly Taproom is at Our Town Taproom Philly. Yeah.
And everybody going to CBC in Philly in 2026. It's only 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and then one more thing real quick. So the one video that did get like almost 30,000 views that I posted on TikTok on my personal one was a video. It was like me walking into my renovated space and it was like POV, you bought a brewery in August and you completely renovated it or blah, 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 blah. And then I just showed the entire space. And I think that's super important because I love going to restaurants that you can like see what it looks like before you go. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of people are visual like that. So if you need any ideas to post on social media, like the next one you post, make it like a walkthrough of your building, of your bar, of your brewing room even. You know what I mean? Like people love to see that kind of stuff. the little preview before they come and dip their toes in, you know what I mean? But that one got a lot of buzz for me. I was shocked.
Awesome. I'll have to go check that one out. The three of you have been an absolute pleasure to chat with today. I've learned a ton. I love the strategies. I hope everybody tuning in has also found value in this. Something tells me we'll have quite a few more conversations about connecting with Gen Z in the future. So Megan, Rob, and Evan, this has been a great time. Looking forward to sharing beers in person before too long. And good luck with everything you have going on. And see you soon, everybody. Cheers.
Bye. Merry Christmas, everyone. Thanks, Andrew.